The Grain Marketing Board is a parastatal under the Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development, whose main role is to ensure food security. Welcome to the Grain Marketing Board. Durare Zimbabwe, Isiphala se Zimbabwe. Now joining me is Dr. Edson Badarai, who is the Chief Executive Officer for the Grain Marketing Board. Doc, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Marion, for having me here.
Doc, let's talk about the mandate of the Grain Marketing Board.
Thank you very much. The mandate of Grain Marketing Board is mainly on strategic grain reserve management, as well as inputs distribution under the Presidential Input Program. So in terms of strategic grain management, we have the intake, then we have the storage, and then we have outtake. Outtake is when we then sell or issue out to social welfare programming. And for the inputs distribution, generally we are dealing with those food cereals for your summer, for the winter. But from last year, we were given another mandate to also distribute cotton inputs, which we have done. So generally, this is the mandate of Grain Marketing Board.
You've made reference to inputs distribution. Let's talk about its success or failure rate.
In terms of the cereals, we've done so much. Generally, we are between 98 to 100%. We are talking of the 3.2 million beneficiaries that you normally hear for the farmers. And for the cotton inputs, because we started late, we then were able to manage to do on our part 70%. Obviously, Cotco had also done its part before us. Yes. So I would say it has been very successful.
What is your capacity in terms of strategic grain reserves?
I would start to indicate that we have silos. We have 12 silos. We also have, out of the 87 depots that we have, sheds and harvesters. So in terms of the capacity of silos, it's a total of 750,000 metric tons. And the balance up to around 1.5 million are the sheds. But we also have collection points where if need arises, we'll be able to store up to 2.3 million. Yes, that's generally the capacity that we have.
Doc, earlier you made reference to your role as being a distributor of grain for social welfare. Currently with this El Nino-induced drought, let's talk about that role in detail.
Thank you very much. We started to distribute already to the vulnerable communities that were identified by the Ministry of Public Service and Social Welfare. And generally, you are looking at 21,000 to 23,000 requirement for these vulnerable communities. But given the El Nino induced, it will be higher than that. And already we are on the ground to distribute. We have not stopped. So what happens is that we issue out this grain to social welfare. At times, social welfare would require us to distribute to the beneficiaries. At times, they'll also be using their own transport. So we continue to collaborate in that end. But what I want to assure the nation is that GMB is ready, as already indicated by the president, even yesterday. No one will die of hunger in this country. We are ready, we are available, and we are foot on the ground.
What are your future plans in terms of strategic grain reserves management?
Thank you very much. Like I indicated, we only have 12 silos. So the plans are afoot, working with our partners, some international, some government to government, to increase that capacity. Generally, we have already identified a minimum of 8, multiplied by that 56 per each of the silo station. So it will increase to around 1 million metric ton. The capacity that is within silo and the capacity for the silo, because silo currently is 750. So we'll be adding up to 1 million or so after we have done the first phase of 8. But going forward, we also want, because inputs management includes the issue of transportation, where you ferry from depot to depot. So we are also working on fleet management. The target generally will be 130-ton trucks, but currently there's an arrangement that we are working on for 30-ton trucks. That is government to government, and we believe that soon it will come to fruition. What is also important to note is that we've brought in a new innovation in terms of how we distribute these inputs. Initially, the suppliers would bring the inputs to GMP, we offload, then we reload for the beneficiaries to the wards. But what we've done now is to implement what is virtual depot, where instead of the suppliers bringing in the inputs to us, offloading, reloading, they directly distribute to the beneficiaries in real time. So there's just-in-time methodology that we use, and coordinating with the Agritech officers on the ground. We continue to manage that system, but what it has done is that it has reduced the cost of distribution. It also reduced the labor that is required for our people to load and offload. So that is a key innovation that we have done, and the suppliers are ready. We have already started to implement.
Dr. Badarai, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Marion, for having me.
I was speaking there to Dr. Edson Badarai, who is the Chief Executive Officer for the Grain Marketing Board. Grain Marketing Board, food security everywhere, every day.